Just wait a few seconds due to the delay. And here we go. Good morning, everyone, and good evening to all Indonesian people which are watching us right now. I'm Dr. Normando Ribeiro Filho. I'm Associate Professor at Federal University of Paraíba in Brazil. Also, I'm a lecturer and researcher from the postgraduate program in agronomy. I'm in charge of the first international cycle lectures entitled Seminar 1 Food. All talks will be delivered by lecturers and researchers from the United States, England, Thailand, and Indonesia institutions. Our event has been a success. Our fourth meeting is taking place right now. In this one, we will have a lecture entitled The Importance of Protein Worldwide, given by Dr. Kurnia Ramadhan, Assistant Professor of Bakrie University. Dr. Kurnia obtained his bachelor degree in food technology from Bogor Agricultural University in Indonesia. He obtained his Master of Science in Food Technology from the University of Science in Malaysia. And he is a Ph.D. in Food Science, which was obtained from the University of Nottingham, England, UK. Kurnia research interests includes physical-chemical characterization and modification of food materials, particularly the food protein. His work includes a wide range of analytical tools and approaches including FTIR spectroscopy, um, scanning, calorimetry, and rheological analysis. His work has been disseminated and published in several international conferences and scientific journals. Welcome, Kunya. The stage is yours, my friend. All the questions from the audience will be asked you by the end of the lecture. Feel free.
Okay, thank you, Normando. Hello, everyone. Good morning there in Brazil. Uh, it's already 7 p.m. in the evening in Indonesia. So it's my honor to be here, get invited by Normando to deliver a talk about the importance of protein worldwide. So let me start by sharing my screen. I hope everyone can hear my voice clearly.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, so the topic that it was given to me is about the importance of protein worldwide. Um, Before I start, I will briefly introduce you to my institution. So I'm speaking on behalf of Bakrie University, which where I'm working there as a lecturer. So it will take about 2 days flight if you fly from Jakarta to uh, Brazil, yeah, specifically Paraíba, if I'm not mistaken. So we are gathered virtually, even though we are distanced from the other side of the world. Yeah. So I hopefully today's presentation will quite beneficial to all of you. You can find me in Google Scholar. I have a ResearchGate account as well, and also the LinkedIn if you wanted to have connected. Yeah. So feel free to contact me for any uh, discussion. Yeah, especially about food science, food technology, and food proteins. So this is the presentation I will deliver today. Uh, I will briefly talk about the roles of protein in living organism as an introduction, and then we move to the chemistry of proteins. And the main topic, what I will talk about is about the food protein. and we'll continue about the ingredients, and the last will be discussing about the sustainability aspect of the food proteins. Okay, so as we all know, yeah, the protein, maybe for some people, they when they hear about protein, they will remember, oh, it's something about food. It's something about nutrition that we need to have, that we need to take daily, uh, and something like that. But if we look closely to our body as a living organism, or to many kind of animals, or even the plants, yeah, many of their bodies parts, yeah, the substances, the molecules is related to the protein. In our body, we have enzymes, we have hormones, and we have like muscles, yeah, we have internal organs, uh, and many more, yeah. So these are involve the activity with the protein. Yeah, it has something to do with the protein. The enzyme itself is actually protein. So from the uh, our mouth, yeah, we have saliva. Within saliva, it has some enzyme which will break down the sugar molecules, yeah, the carbohydrate molecules into sugars. And then when we see inside our gastric, yeah, our stomach, there are many enzymes working there, and also hormones, yeah, that is contribute to the function of our body or metabolisms. Yeah. The same thing also we found in the animals, and the similar things also we can find in the plants. Yeah. The structural proteins can be the muscles, can be the organs. The storage proteins and the nutrients we can find in the plants, such as in the seeds, yeah, seeds of legumes, the grains, the cereals, and many things, yeah, etc. So it's basically not only related to the foods, but it is becoming a main aspect of our life. We cannot have a good health. Our body cannot work uh, properly without the contribution of proteins. From the chemistry point of view, yeah, protein was characterized by its chemical structure. So maybe some of you, or all of you have learned about this before. So we know that a protein is one of the biopolymer. It has the monomer. Yeah, it has the main structure. Yeah, it is the amino acids. The main characteristic is it has the carboxyl groups on the other side, yeah, and the amino groups the opposite sides, and also it has R groups, which is varied widely, yeah. And then it will form a long chain of the primary structure, forming the primary structure of protein, and then it will continue to create the secondary structure like this, yeah. As we know, it has the alpha helix or beta sheet structure, and also when it comes to the larger size, it will have the tertiary structure, and it will um, combine with the other part of protein, creating the quaternary structure. So it's basically a big molecules, yeah, a big substances that have many specific functions in the living organisms, in the cells in our body. And our body, yeah, or other animals, yeah, will do the protein synthesis from uh, the food we consume. Yeah. So it's basically like the building blocks that we get from our foods, and then it will recreate into the other form of the protein. Um, Still in the chemistry aspects, um, the protein structure is widely varied, yeah, but usually they are categorized into 21 amino acids. With some have mostly positive charge, some have negative charge, and some other have uncharted side chains, yeah, and some groups have hydrophobic side chains as well. So this is the classification of their chemical structure of amino acids. But from the nutrition point of view, the amino acids, which is the main component of protein, can be classified into two groups. Yeah. One group is essential amino acids, and another group is not essential. So the essential ones is the amino acids that we cannot have, that our body cannot synthesize by itself. We need to consume uh, foods for this source, yeah, for the essential amino acids. However, the non-essential uh, are the amino acids that our body able to synthesize by itself. Yeah. And one classification in between, yeah, some literature uh, call it the conditional essential. So this is the from the nutrition point of view. And then we continue to the food protein perspective. Yeah. So the food itself, yeah. When we talk about food, actually we talk about the things that was living before. Yeah. I mean, we eat the biological things. We eat the meat. We eat the plants. The cereal comes from the plants. The meat comes from animals. Yeah. So they were all living things. But once they harvested and processed, so they become food. Yeah. And the food provide us with the proteins. Yeah. So we call it as food proteins. Yeah. So the food proteins we can obtain from the animals and the plants. Yeah. Each source have their advantages, yeah, and their disadvantages. But the superiority of the animal proteins, usually they provide a quite a balance, a quite complete essential amino acids. Otherwise, the plant-based proteins usually they are not really complete. So if someone tend to practice their vegan diet or vegetarian diet, usually they need to properly combine several sorts of plants, yeah, like combination between cereals and legumes, and with the kind of their variety. Okay, the next slide. This one, I show the protein composition of some commodities. This table showing the legumes, yeah, like chickpeas, mung beans, yeah, and then soybean. And the table below, you can see the proteins is not only from the legumes, but also we can find it within the cereals. Yeah, it's there in the wheat, in the rice, in the corn, in the oats. Yeah, but uh, rich in protein is, as you know, it's soybean. Yeah. Soybean provide the highest protein content among the plant commodities in general. Yeah, but among the cereals we have the oats. Yeah, oats is the highest protein containing cereal, yeah, compared to other cereals like corn, wheat, and rice. So the oat seems to be uh, very good in providing us with the protein. Uh, where are there the protein inside the plants? This is I I put some image, yeah, from an article, a paper. Uh, it is the microscopic image of soybean seed. Yeah. So the proteins usually concentrate in the protein body. Yeah. So it's there and it's distributed very well as the storage protein inside the soybean seed. Um, yeah, talking about soybean, yeah, soybean is the most prominent uh, plant-based protein sources, and according to data, yeah, Brazil is the largest producer and exporter of soybean worldwide. Yeah. I think the country in the West, yeah, including Brazil, usually utilize the soybean into soybean oil. Yeah, the way soybean is processed into oils, and then you can also process into some protein ingredients. Yeah, but in Asia, we have long history of soybean consumption, uh, specifically like from China, Japan, Korea. If you know tofu, yeah, it is soy milk and tofu is the main products, yeah, derived from soybean. So the Asians, yeah, we do not use it for oils, but we use it for the food products. And Indonesia, we have our own uh, food products derived from soybean. Uh, it is called soybean tempeh. Yeah, if you ever heard about it. So it's basically the soybean fermented with the fungus. Yeah, it's fungi, Rhizopus oligosporus. Yeah, and then consume it and then process it into a wide variety of culinary dishes. Yeah. I'll talk about that again later. Um, so we have talked about the source of food protein. The food protein itself have different functions when we look at the food uh, aspect. Yeah. The first aspect of we always seen is the nutritional value. So the protein provide us with the energy. Yeah, as we know, it's about 4 calories per gram protein, and it is also provide us as a supply of amino acids required for our growth and our maintenance. Yeah, the body maintenance, like uh, for the children. Yeah, early age will need a large amount of protein as it is required for the growth. But for the elderly, yeah, they also have uh, uh, needs this quite large amount of protein consumption because of the decreasing or declining the body function. So the protein consumption will help to retain the body function, especially the muscle of the elders. Yeah, so it is quite recommended for the elder people to consume protein-rich foods. Yeah. In addition to nutritional value, we also really consider the sensorial properties, yeah, that is contributed by the protein. So this is the main the aspect that always considered by the food scientists or food technologists, where the protein will provide or will affect the appearance of foods, the texture and the flavor, and also it will contribute to the formation of structure, such as in emulsion, in gel, yeah, in foam like this. So this is some example. Um, the gummy candy made from gelatin. As we know, gelatin is one of the protein, and also like this product, the whipped cream. Yeah, the it's actually a foam structure that was contributed by the air and the protein itself. Yeah, that can retain the foam structure, and also the uh, like dough like this. Yeah, The dough usually have some elasticity, so it is contributed by protein from the wheat. Yeah. So that's the sensorial properties, sensorial aspect that the food protein is give the contribution. So these things we usually call as functional properties, or nowadays we also use this terminology, techno-functionalities, because if we use the functional terminology, it will uh, give some double ambiguity. Sometimes the functional is related to the health, and this aspect is more related to the physical. Yeah. The protein has solubility, has water holding ability. It can form the gel. It can form an emulsion and the foams. Yeah, and we can easily find it in many type of products. Yeah, in the beverage, in the muscle foods like sausages, cheese, and yogurts. Yeah. Um, the salad dressing as well. Yeah, mayonnaise. It requires the emulsion stabilization by the protein. The ice cream as well. Yeah, and I think we are all quite familiar with those products. So the functional properties we can look at closer. Um, what what is influencing the functional properties of protein? So the main thing is about the protein structure. So it starts from the structure of protein. Yeah. The protein with different amino acid composition, with different amino acid sequence. Yeah, they will have different functional properties. And also it is influenced by the other factors, the other conditions, yeah, like environmental conditions. When we change the pH of our system, so it will also change the functional properties of the protein, like their solubility will change, or their hydrophobicity will change. Yeah, when we modify these environmental conditions, yeah, such as pH, the uh, ionic strengths, yeah, the salts we add, the moisture content as well, and also the external condition are the temperatures, yeah, the heating, or freezing, or drying, or shearing, and also pressure we give to the system. It will change, yeah, the functional properties of the protein. So it's all can be modified, can be moderated, yeah, according to our objective. Another example that is quite familiar to us, yeah, is when we cook the egg. Yeah, when we cook the egg is one of the example uh, rich in food proteins. Yeah, it has albumin, yeah, the egg white, which is basically water soluble. The egg white will be water soluble as long as it's in the native state of protein. Yeah. So before we cook the egg, it have the native states. Yeah. So what if native state? Native state is the initial state of protein. Yeah, with the initial primary, secondary, tertiary structure. Yeah. But once we heat it, once we cook it, yeah, it will change the structure. So the phenomena we call it as protein denaturation. Yeah. The protein denaturation, yeah, will gradually change the solubility of egg white, and then and finally we obtain the result of a denatured state of protein, yeah, which is no longer soluble. So it's decreased solubility, yeah, or even it's become solid, yeah, solid state, and then uh, it's basically changed the functional properties, and the enzyme activity is also loss, yeah, due to the heat when we cook the egg. So this explains the structure to function relationships within the food protein. So my main message is we can modify the function by modify the structure. Um, Another example I'll give about the protein functional properties, yeah, is about the effect of salt addition into the protein. So in foods, the salt not only provide us with the taste, yeah, the salty taste or the savory taste, it will also affect the physical or physical chemical change to the food that we process or we produce. Yeah. So like if we look at this curve, yeah, some protein will have higher solubility when the salt is added. Yeah. When the salt is added, the solubility will increase. But the relationship is not linear. So it will stop at some points, and when we pass over this point, the solubility of protein will do decrease. Yeah. So this phenomenon, yeah, on the left, yeah, on the left side here, the increasing solubility is usually called as the salting in phenomenon. The increase of salt concentration will increase the solubility, but beyond this point on the right side, yeah, when we increase the salt concentration, we reduce the solubility. This is the salting out phenomenon. So as an example, when uh, we salt some egg, yeah, in Asian countries like in Indonesia and some other countries, we have salted egg. We usually this technique was implemented to retain or to make the egg shelf life last longer. Yeah. So the salted egg tend to have uh, lower solubility of their albumin and yeah, it's so the upper side here is before cooking, and the bottom side is after cooking. Yeah, and the longer the time, it will reduce the protein solubility of the egg. So that's the uh, effect of salt concentration to the protein functional properties. The protein also, the food protein, yeah, also can be fractionated. Yeah, uh, among the study of protein fractionation is one which were done by Osborne. Yeah, so it's basically separate or fractionate the wheat protein. Yeah, wheat protein into four groups. Yeah, so the first fraction is when you mix the flour, yeah, wheat flour into water, and you will get some proteins will soluble in water, dissolve in water very well, but they will sediment, yeah, the some amount of it, so it will leave the insoluble fraction of the wheat protein. From there, we can get the second fraction is globulin. This fraction can be solubilized in salt solution, and then from there we obtain the residue, which is not soluble, and we can have the third fraction, which is prolamine, and the third fraction will be soluble in ethanol, and the last fraction usually called glutamine. This is only soluble in dilute acid or alkaline solution. Yeah. But then in the wheat, yeah, in the wheat, the third and the fourth fraction is the main fractions, yeah, the major fraction of the wheat protein. It consists about 80% of total protein in flour, yeah, and approximately they have equal amounts. This both fraction, yeah, the third and the fourth fraction, also we usually hear about the name, yeah, the terminology, which is called as gluten, yeah. So gluten is a term of certain amino acid sequences, yeah, which is the gliadin and glutenin, yeah. It is found in the wheat, in many cereals, yeah. Uh, it is the least soluble, the most insoluble protein of the wheat, yeah. And then it is responsible to contribute the elastic and cohesive structure of dough, yeah. Without gluten, we cannot have this elastic noodle dough, or the like, yeah, pizza dough or bread dough, which have a very elastic characteristic, yeah. So it's the uniqueness of the wheat protein, uh, the gluten. Yeah, and this is another example of the gluten products, yeah. A product derived from the wheat protein. You can make a meat analog, or like a fake meat, yeah. The thing that's intended to mimic or to create a similar texture of meat, yeah. We also know it as a vegetarian meat, yeah. So this is the one article, the review article, that I recommend if you interest about the protein functionality. Yeah, this is like 7 years ago, but the discussion of this paper is quite comprehensive. Yeah, to deliver the concept about the structure and function relationship in the food protein, especially the physical, yeah, from physical aspect. Okay. Um, in addition to the food products that contain proteins, the protein can also be isolated or extracted, yeah, into some high protein products, yeah, which we can get from the extraction process, yeah. So the soybean, yeah, usually uh, it has processing routes that we can do, either to the right side, yeah, or to the left side here. So the left side here is usually practiced in the Asian, yeah, in the Asian countries. We consume the soybean extract, and then we can get the soy milk or soy base, yeah. And then from soy base we can do the coagulation into tofu, or uh, uh, have the soy milk as a beverage, yeah. And also the soybean can also be dry mill into soy flour. Uh, but when the soybean is extracted for the oil, it will have the side products, yeah, uh, which as the soybean flakes, yeah, or flour. And from there we can have the more concentrated protein products like the soy protein concentrate, and uh, further isolation for the extraction will bring us to the soy protein isolate like this, yeah. I think the soy protein isolate is quite familiar for those who are uh, doing the bodybuilding, yeah, or doing like gymnastic or fitness activities, yeah. It will help the muscle building for our body, yeah. And also it can be processed into texture vegetable proteins, yeah, the vegetarian meat as well, for this time from the soybean, and the other source of protein can also be processed into the protein product as well. And these ingredients are very useful in many food products, yeah. It can be added into like meat products, into sausages, uh, burgers, yeah, etc., chicken nuggets, yeah, and many of the high protein products, and also to the beverage, yeah. So it's basically everywhere for the uh, products in food industry. Uh, yeah, when we talk about food proteins, uh, we cannot forget about this. Yeah, we must be cautious about the food proteins are actually the allergens. So the labeling regulation in every country, I think, have emphasized about uh, the producers needs to mention or need to show the ingredients that is containing the allergens. Yeah. So the protein source, yeah, are basically they are uh, must be cautiously uh, announced. Yeah, must be cautiously um, stated on the label. It has allergens effects. Yeah, but it's not for everybody. I mean, some people have their own allergies, so each of us needs to be cautious about this. Yeah. For this example, wheat are marked as the allergens, and from the left side, the eggs, gluten and milk, yeah, and then the nuts, it has allergy effects, yeah, for some people. Okay, so we reached the last subtopics that I will talk about today. The discussion on sustainability in foods, yeah, also often related to the food protein, yeah, because the animal products, yeah, have been major source of food protein for many people. It has a long history in human history. Our ancestors have been consuming the animals or animal products since the ancient times. Yeah. So it has a very close relation to human population, yeah, to human beings as well. But then the problem is meat production is considered as one of the main contributor of greenhouse gas emission within agriculture sector. So this is the issue that is quite debatable, yeah, among the people. Some people advise to let's switch to the plant proteins, let's switch to the plant-based diets, but a more moderate advice will be just like uh, have to be balanced between the animal source and the plant-based source. So this map provides us with the uh, carbon emission contribution of the animal farming. Yeah. So according to this data, uh, the cows, yeah, the beef is the uh, main commodities, the animal products in Latin America. Yeah. Whereas in Asia, it has quite varied between the beef, the pork, yeah, and the chicken. Yeah, chicken has quite a high number of consumption in Asia. And from these ideas, yeah, some people develop the alternative of protein sources, mainly the plant-based protein, yeah, which is uh, we can find more and more product labeled as plant-based today. Yeah, nowadays we can find more and more products with the label as plant-based, and some other suggest the insect, yeah, the insects, the edible insects for consumption to provide the alternative food proteins. Yeah. The other the other research developed the microbial proteins. We can harvest the protein from microbes, from the like fungi or some other utilize the yeast for protein source. And the more sophisticated thing is about the cultured meat. Yeah, It's basically like stem cell culture, but not for the plants, but it's using the meat cells, yeah, muscle cells from the living animals. And the other things I didn't put here about the cultured milk as well, yeah. uh, some researcher developed the milk with the cultures technology, yeah, from the mammal cells that producing the milk, yeah. So it's quite uh, interesting topics in the research, yeah. So these are considered as innovations in providing alternative protein sources, yeah, uh, uh, in in uh, in order to be aligned to the sustainability issues. However, the debates over animal and plant-based foods is quite uh, available, yeah, in the academics forum. As we can see, this is one example from the article been published in 2020 about the sustainability of animal source foods, yeah. And the paper discuss the animal source foods and its relation to the malnutrition, yeah, of the population. Yeah. For those who interested, you can look at this paper. Um, the plant-based alternative, yeah, basically it's not the new things. It's basically has been consumed in a traditional way, yeah, from some cultures in Asian cultures. Usually, the plant-based alternative uh, was basically a cheaper option, yeah, cheaper option for meat, yeah, like this soy milk was a cheaper option when the cow's milk, yeah, the cow's milk is expensive. So it's usually have a low economical prestige or image, yeah, within the Asian country. But nowadays, it has a good reputation of being healthy and more sustainable. So that's how the human have a shifting perspective to their foods. Yeah, and these also tempeh. Yeah, and these are the seitan made from gluten. Yeah, it's all there since hundreds of years ago, has been consumed by the the ancestors. Yeah. Um, a more recent history in early innovation of plant-based protein foods, yeah, we can look at to the meat analog, yeah, which is the textured vegetable protein in 1960s. Yeah, it's actually made from the soybean concentrate that we have discussed earlier. So it's used um, extrusion technology, yeah, with the high temperature, and this create uh, variety of texture like the ground meat. Yeah. Uh, a little bit later on, some companies develop the meat analog from this fungi. Yeah, we call it as Fusarium venenatum. So it's basically cultured fungi, and then it can be processed into uh, different shape of the meat analogs. Yeah. I think some of you quite familiar with this brand. Yeah, Quorn is the pioneer, the first brand that sell the this product. Yeah, we call it as a micro protein. And the more recent one that is quite trending in the past few years. Yeah, these plant-based meat. Yeah, these two brands are quite famous. Yeah, widely discussed on the internet. Yeah, it's basically use the plant ingredients. Yeah, so the Beyond Meat use the pea protein isolate as the main ingredients, and the other one use the soy protein concentrate. Yeah, And another interesting thing is about the color. When we talk about meat, it's not only about the texture, it's also about the appearance and about the flavor itself. So the previous two example, yeah, the microprotein and the texture vegetable protein, was basically uh, can only mimic the meat properties on the texture side, but not until the appearance and the the flavor. So I think this one I highlighted. The soy lake hemoglobin is the main important components of these products, which can represent or can mimic the complete properties of the meat, which is the blood. Yeah. So it's basically uh, have a similar structure with hemoglobin of blood, and then this can be uh, developed by cell culture, yeah, and then can be harvested by extraction process, and last thing, this is put together with other ingredients and creating the real meat flavor to the product. So it's quite similar to the uh, myoglobin and hemoglobin of the blood within the meat. Um, yeah, the sustainable in traditional way also uh, that I want to talk about is about the soybean tempeh. Yeah, so if you have not heard before or have not seen before, so this is tempeh made from the soybean. Yeah, so it was fermented by Rhizophus oligosporus. Yeah, and I found some news in 2019 that there is a company in Sao Paulo brings fermented protein tempeh to Brazil. Yeah. So it's quite interesting. Uh, the startup is known as Moon. Yeah, bringing tempeh protein made from whole fermented pulse that originate from Indonesia to Brazil. Maybe you have heard before, or I'm not pretty sure what is the updates to until today. Yeah. So if you have not tried, maybe need to try it. Yeah, for the experience of the new foods. Yeah. And the last thing, this is my one of my recent publication about the okara tempeh. Yeah. So we try to develop alternative protein ingredients. Yeah, alternative protein ingredients which come from okara. Okara is basically the waste of uh, soy milk or tofu production. Then we can ferment, doing fermentation with the uh, fungi, making it to tempeh, and then combine using it, utilize it as ingredients in sausage product. Yeah. So please take a look. Yeah, if you're interested to this topic. I think that's all my presentation. If we can continue to discussion. Any questions?
Okay. Here we go. Kurnia, thank you very much. This was a very nice presentation. Very, very, very nice. We have a few questions around here, and the first one is from Kaique Palacio. He asked about the tenebrio. If he asks, is this, you can see it on the screen. He asks if these tenebrios this can be a alternative source of protein foods.
I'm not sure what is. Tenebrio, I haven't heard
Yeah,
about this.
yeah, exactly, Kurnia. This is nice to share. Tenebri currently is the most studied insect in Brazil
Mm,
as a protein source. So I think when Kai asks, because he's know that is our source very well studied here, but there is a lot of insects in each country that has high concentration of protein that have been studied and applied for different food products, isn't it?
mm, yeah, it's
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, and I used to play with my students, Kunya, saying sometimes you go to the gym, you play hard there, but and you have some kind of supplement, and you don't know where they come from. So sometimes come from an insect, and you have no idea about this. I think some guys maybe stop to having some kind of stuff because they don't like the idea of eating insects. But this is not one part of the future, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there are some research try to develop when people know it's an insect or it's still in an insect form. Yeah, so they will tend to feel disgust or don't want to eat it. Yeah, but when it is processed into some like powder or the other form, I think that will reduce the disgustness or yeah, the avoidance of the people to consume it.
Let's see the next one. The next question is what the importance of the protein consumption.
The importance of protein consumption.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's really play a big role in our health. Yeah, I mean many of body functions is really depend on the protein consumption. If we are deficient in protein, yeah, so we will have like abnormal body functions. For elders, they will lost their biomass, the bodies, or the decrease in some organ functions if we consume less protein. And for the adults, yeah, for the uh, healthy adults, yeah, consuming less protein will I think reduce their stamina and uh, their body function will be distracted. Yeah, I mean the will not work normally. And also for the children, it's really really important as it is for the growth. Yeah, I think we all have known the importance of this protein consumption.
Yeah. It's very important because one more thing is basically our body is our muscle is pure protein. So and what is keep us up basically. So if you don't have the correct consumption of protein, maybe we have problems in your muscles as a consequence in the entire
Exactly.
structure.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
this is very important point that I think in the general community we discuss a few. So people need to really know how important it is. Not just enjoy a very nice barbecue. You need to know what you are eating, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other question, Gunya, was how does protein is synthesized, and are there any similarity between protein synthesis in plants and human body?
Okay. To be honest, it's beyond my expertise about the protein synthesis biochemistry, but in general, the protein needs a building blocks. Where are the building blocks coming from? It comes from the foods we consume. So our muscle needs the building blocks. So the building blocks will be comes from the milk, come from the tofu, from the soybean, from the meat, yeah, that we consume. So the foods are basically will be broken down into smaller substances, and then will be resynthesized into many body parts, yeah, many organs, many functions in our body, and also the enzymes, the hormones, yeah, etc. Similarity, I'm not very sure about this, but the similarity I can say, the metabolism is basically how the molecules break down and resynthesize is quite similar, but uh, the how it works, it's basically quite different, yeah, between plants and human or animals. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting because when you say about the building block, it's exactly what in science we said. It's, everything first starts when you talk about protein. It starts from the amino acid, isn't it? Again, the
Yeah.
kind of connection that they are making to produce peptides, polypeptides, and this is very difficult for stuff to explain because it's very deep. You get a lot of things involved, like minerals,
Yeah.
enzymes, and a lot of things. I'm a little bit um, connected with this kind of information because I used to study yeast for brewing, so
Hmm.
it's do this the similar thing. Exactly,
Hmm.
they consume amino acids to produce aroma, but basically it's to develop themselves, so to growth basically. And
Yeah.
it's some things, some points of these pathways are similar, but for sure are a lot of difference when in certain points. If was not, this was not people from agriculture science and food sciences study different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Uh, Next one is, how does protein stabilize products such as ice cream and mayonnaise? There is a connection
Oh,
about charging the protein charge, or I'm totally
yeah.
off of the conversation.
Yeah, it's related to the protein charge. The protein is also called as the amphoter, yeah, amphoter, amphiphilic. Yeah, it has hydrophilic properties, and also at the same time it has the hydrophobic properties. So these both properties in within the protein molecules has the ability to stabilize the foam products, the foam structure within ice cream, or the emulsion within the mayonnaise. Yeah. It's basically because of the both properties. Yeah, hydrophilic and hydrophobic.
The, this is interesting, Kurnia, because basically the understanding of hydrophilic and hydrophobic uh, mechanism in any kind of protein. This respond a lot of questions in food and, for example, in detergent because it's a it's another kind of, type of product, but the
Mm-hmm.
protein has the same importance and function in different products. So this is amazing how I used to say that we work in different areas using the same techniques, but just to explain different things. Is very nice. So I think you have a question from Talita Gomes. Uh, what does you think about plant-based protein? Can be a good alternative?
Pardon, can you repeat?
Her question is, let's get this one is on the screen. What was your main contribution for protein studies?
Well, I'm still learning as well. So my interest is about the developing the uh, ingredients that has rich in protein contents, but has a low economical value, so we can provide the protein in a more affordable way. Yeah, affordable way. So more people will have the protein supply quite cheaply. Yeah, I mean not expensive one. Okay.
Nice. And there is a question from Talita Gomez. She's watching us right now. The previous one, she asked about if do you think, let's one question. Talita. There's a second. Here. What does you think about plant-based protein? Can it be a good alternative?
The plant-based protein has actually have long history with the human, like what I said before. Uh, our ancestors in some culture, yeah, has been consuming the plant-based protein, the legumes, the nuts, etc. So it has been proven as quite good one. But the most important thing is we cannot only consume one type of foods. We need to be balanced. We need to have a diverse source of foods. So the plant-based, my personal belief, we cannot rely on a single type of plant-based protein. We also need the animal source of protein in a good way. Yeah, we need to take uh, good attention to the balance. Yeah, and related to the sustainability issue is how is our food uh, not harming the environment. So just how to compromise with that. Yeah, I think.
I see. Kurnia, do you think that if we get our totally protein from animals or totally from plants, do you think we have some structural problem in the human body? Because I'm not sure if they have the same kind of amino acid in both of them. I'm not sure about this. So the type
Yeah,
of amino acid, the kind of building blocks that we need. I'm really not sure. You have a same idea about this? Say any idea about this?
yeah. The animal proteins usually provide quite complete the essential amino acids, which is good for our health. Um, but the plant proteins, like cereals, they are tend to be incomplete. They have uh, a good amount of some essential amino acids, but least amount of the other amino acids. So that's the disadvantage of the plant proteins. We need to really combine the many source of the plants. Yeah, we cannot rely on a single source of plant proteins for our health.
All right, very nice. There is another one. Is what technique can be applied for modifying the protein function?
Okay, the modification of protein function. There are many research about this already in the past few decades. Some use the chemical modification, which nowadays tend to be avoided. So people will tend to avoid a more chemical things, shifting to a more natural things. Uh, the trends are using the physical treatment or the enzymes. Yeah, the enzymes like uh, if you know the transglutaminase, like sometimes called as meat glue, the enzyme can create uh, a better texture of meat. Yeah, like if you want to have a good steak, you don't need to buy the expensive one. So like people modify the cheaper meat into a good one by using the enzyme. That's one example for protein modification. The other thing, using the physical treatment like high shearing, emulsification, and high pressure processing, something like that. So I think that's the development uh, has been done until today.
Let's see. The questions. I start. Talita Gomes. The Talita Gomes, she asked you. We answered it already. Was Manuel Filho. He asked. Ah, before Manuel Filho, we have this question. What does happens to protein structure when salt is added?
Okay, the salt itself, when we add salt into solution or into food system that containing water, yeah, the salt will be ionized, yeah, into a positive and negative charge. Yeah. So this charge will interact with the charge of protein. So like what I said before, the salt can increase the solubility of proteins, but when it reaches some concentration or some point of concentration, it will gradually reduce the solubility of protein, so it becomes more insoluble or becomes solid. Yeah, so I think in the culinary practice, yeah, it has been used many years ago, like when we like if you know the uh, like salami or pastrami, yeah, or the other salted meat products, yeah, they tend to have different texture. Yeah. So it's basically has something to do with the protein. It doesn't only contribute to the taste, but also the texture of the meat. Yeah, it is actually interaction between salt and protein.
This this yeah, I never saw this. This was a very nice information, Kurnia, because it's interesting how the is make the course, isn't it? The stability raise after that they start to decrease. So in this all protein they have the same point of stabilization, or this can change.
Yeah, it is actually related to the physical force. Yeah, the physical force between the protein molecules and the salt ions. Yeah, uh, so increasing solubility is the state when the protein molecules keep away each other. Yeah, so they have repulsion each other. But when the amount of salt getting increased, yeah, they are more homogeneous charge in one side. That is will bring the protein molecules get closer. That's why
Mm.
the salt addition will decrease the solubility of protein.
Ah, so basically it's related to the moisture content, isn't it? The amount of
Yeah,
water it is, and yeah, basically this is interesting. So,
yeah, it's correct.
please may explain the mechanism between salt protein and other protein charge reduction. I think you we basically respond this point, isn't it? It's on the screen now. The question, Kunya. It says, please may you explain the mechanism between salt and protein. Are some protein charge reduction? Yes, I think we already talked about this. Or if you want to say something else, feel free.
Yeah, I don't think it is related to the charge reduction like the pH. Yeah, it's quite different. It is more about the particle crowds, yeah, of the salt ions. Yeah, so the amount of the charge from salts, yeah, tend to push, yeah, to push the protein molecules. Yeah, the protein molecules will be pushed, will be concentrate into a local crowd, yeah, local concentration, a local space. So they tend to sediment it or become insoluble. Yeah, I think that is more proper. Yeah, um, it's I think it's quite similar to pH. Yeah, but it's quite different uh, in some way. Yeah, because the pH is about the H plus and OH minus. Yeah, but the salt is something to do with the amount of uh, ions from the salt itself.
Nice. Uh, we have more questions. Yeah, we got a few here. Uh, are you Kurnia? There is one from Manuel Filho. Oh, okay. It appears another one on the screen. You can see over there is what the structural difference among albumin and glutamine.
Okay, the structural difference we can see from many levels. Yeah, from the primary structure, it must be different. The sequence of amino acids, the amount of amino acids presents within the structure, and then the secondary structure of these two proteins also will be different. The amount of alpha helix, the amount of beta sheets within the secondary structure, and also the tertiary and quaternary structure also will be different. The glutamine tends to create like uh, almost fibrous, I think, like the at some point, yeah, more fibrous, but the albumin tend to be globular, yeah, globular. So this protein structure classification usually can relate to the texture of the foods, yeah. What I said about the fibrous structure is usually you can find it in the meat, yeah, from animals. The meat protein and the gelatin, it has the protein with fibrous structure, so we can have the unique texture from that protein.
Hmm. And then, is also it's related to the flavors, isn't it? Each type of protein, each structure
Yeah,
of
yeah,
amino acid, you have connections to flavors. So May says you can say something about this connection between the proteins and the flavor formation, Gunia.
yeah. What I have learned about this, the flavor is contributed more from the peptides, yeah, the smaller fragments of protein. So it contributes to the savory taste, yeah, the of meats, of uh, like uh, the other foods, yeah. So it's usually have a unique savory taste, and it is also classified as a non-volatile, yeah, flavor compounds, which is can linger in our mouth, yeah, our tongue, our mouth. uh, yeah, I think that's the contribution of the protein. Yeah. The protein itself can also be broken down, yeah, by hydrolysis, either chemically or enzymatically, into peptides that contributes to the flavor of foods, I think.
Uh, it's interesting because when you explain this now, it came to my mind exactly the Maillard reaction because
Yeah,
basically it's the
reaction
interaction
as well.
between the carbohydrates and the amino acids in the system that change the color of basically for beer from a pale to a dark beer is basically the kind of heating we induce to get that different color, as a consequence, different aroma and flavor, and maybe different flavor for that product. And it's similar that's happening with the chicken, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we talk about beef, we talk about the chicken, and basically the power of the protein inside the both system, and the contribution of the protein is clear in both sides, in both products. And people have need to know how we can play with this kind of structure, to produce just to deliver different products. Like when we did explain very well about the fake meats and all the sources that we look for to improve this kind of fake meat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's is is basically like we talk about the plant based and animal based, but we need to start to talk about the insect based more,
Mm.
and fungi based, because we have now, it was one of the questions here, is what do you think about the yeast protein? It's exactly yeast protein as well as is in similarly to the yeast, not yeast, um, microalgae protein. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's the two source. But what do you think about the yeast protein, and how you see this on Earth now around the world?
Um, as far from my knowledge, yeah, the yeast protein is quite uh, useful in increasing when it's used as an ingredient in foods. It is quite useful in increasing the protein content, but it also have effects on the flavor. I think, yeah, because we know the yeast extract is usually can be utilized as the flavor enhancer in foods. So that really depend on our, what is our objective by utilizing this material. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Kurnia, you were involved in one of our works that we maybe will be published very soon, the book chapter, exactly about the increasing protein from cashew fruit waste, using yeast protein. So I'm quite passionate about yeast in general for producing alcoholic beverages and using the recover the waste. So this is a very wide and nice topic for me. And also we published to the Dr. Pachenik Pat and I and other people on our group. We published one paper about exactly microalgae and microalgae
Mm.
biodiversity. Was quite nice as well. So it's a lot of things that we have to talk more about, several other sources of protein that is all the academia need to talk much more about this. I think in Nottingham they have a very large group of studies of protein, but they are not very in the East protein yet. But I hope they get there. They get there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hopefully.
Mon- we have another question now. It's from Manuel. Very sorry, mate. I think it's the fourth time that I try to ask you a question. Manuel Filho, he asked, how do you hate the use of insect protein in your country? What is your perspective for the future in this market?
Well, the insect is quite not familiar for most of the people, but some people have traditional habits, yeah, from their culture to eat insects, yeah, especially the grasshopper and the cricket. So these two insects are quite familiar to some people in our country, uh, but the people tend to consume it in the traditional way. So they just keep in the exact form, yeah, and then they cook it into the some dishes. There's no such effort to create a more modern approach for this source of protein until today. I think in our countries is quite conservative. I mean, not really considered as a quite promising uh, source of protein at the moment. Yeah, but it might be shift into a better condition if we use a more modern approach to develop this insect into more uh, suitable for food products in industry, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting because the country that put more money to study insect is China. It's very well known this. But if you talk to any guy in China, they say, "Oh no, I don't use this. That I don't intend to eat this kind of thing." But these start to be used in the inside the industry, and I think in the future everyone will eat it without knowing. So
Yeah.
we have another question from Taliani Silva. She asks, insects are already known to be used in the many ultra-processed foods, but what Dr. Kurnia says about the consumption of this protein in nature, as insect really the protein of the future?
I personally don't believe that is as a quite promising in the future because uh, our people uh, has a long history with the consumption of meat and the plants. So balance between plants and meat is already have uh, a good situation, I think. As for the insect, it's just like uh, uh, for casual consumption or like uh, special occasion. I think not really into the routine or daily source of protein, I think.
Okay. Uh, and Yes, according to some, but mainly when she put about the ultra processing foods, I think the in my point, uh, insects protein and other sources of protein like yeasts, microalgae, they will be very well used in the industry, but the kind of source that people look for normally, like meat, we still be meat and plant based. Yeah, what we put on our plates. But when people consume ultra processed food, ultra processed food, yeah, maybe this takes a very large part of the industry.
Yeah,
This is in my point because everything is related to how they decrease the price of things. So yeah, maybe it's happen. It would happen.
yeah.
Uh, Another question from Julia Santos. Do you believe that it's possible to have a full plant-based diet and have a good life?
Well, this matter is related to personal belief. I think some people have been practicing it and they are okay with it. So it really depends on ourselves. But we cannot make a general uh, judgment for everyone who choose to fully vegetarian or even vegan. Um, but in the context of the society, uh, people need a balance between plant and animal diets. Yeah, that's for the society context. But in personal, it's really back to the person. I think, yeah, that's what I think about this.
Um, Kurnia, thank very much, everyone. Abidia saying congratulations on your presentation, and other guys that are with us saying are congratulating and say that you had
Thank you.
a very nice in a very nice and very interesting lecture.
Thank you for
I can
inviting
tell you
me.
that I enjoy a lot, and I learned a lot from doing this talk. Kurnia, we are close to finish, so I would like to give you space to you make your final considerations. Your final considerations. If you want to share your journey as a PhD, how was it, and anything else that you want to share that you think that is important to people know.
Okay. Um, so I and Normando spent quite some times, yeah, together in University of Nottingham when we were doing PhD in starting 2015. Um, so PhD journey is quite very meaningful to me. Yeah, it's not only about the knowledge, it's not only about the science, but it's also about the psychology, the motivations, the creativity, how we develop ourselves. There's so much ups and downs. Yeah, I often feel when I failed in my research, like, quite often. Yeah, so I feel like, I feel like I'm the most stupid person in the world. Sometimes I feel like that, but I can continue to be optimistic, and then I just need to finish my study. Yeah, what I have started, I have to finish it. So I got support from my family as well. That makes me stronger to finish my PhD, and yeah, it's quite a journey, a very interesting experience in life. Yeah,
It's interesting, Konya, because everyone that are doing our PhDs, we we feel like this. Sometimes we fail, try again, try again, try again, and always we think that it's just happened to us. But when we finish, we discover it's happened to everybody that round. So uh, this is so funny when we pass through, isn't it?
yeah,
So, oh my God, I was at that moment, I feel so stressed, and then I was thinking this failure was just happened to me. But this is the thing. We did what we did, and every day we do our contributions in a lot of things because we keep failing, failing without give up. So it's like I remember the one talk that I saw on the internet say, fall forward, fall forward. This is important, and
yeah,
exactly the motivation is the most important thing because you can be very intelligent, but if you're not motivated enough, you don't move. And this is very nice. Thank you very much
yeah,
to share, my friend. And always when we share this kind of thing, it is exactly nice to see that uh, feel down sometimes is part of everyone. And the important is not when we down, is when we
yeah.
get back and stay up. Konya, we are going to the
Okay.
end now. This was a very great pleasure to talk to you, my friend.
Yeah, thank
And
you for having me.
I hope we have more kind of more this kind of talks and lectures from you and maybe your guys in Indonesia, because always is good to share. Is that sharing things is the most important and simple way to learn, isn't it? Imagine if you stop to read all the papers and books that you have read, and you
Yeah,
deliver this enough in 1 hour to us, 1 hour and 20 minutes. So very nice. This was a great presentation from Dr. Cunha, and have been a pleasure, guys. Each lecture that you have delivered in this event, I am very grateful to everyone that you are here. Thank you very much to guys in Indonesia that are up. Listen to us, and remember these talks will be available on the internet in the YouTube. So anyone that could not see this now can see this in the future anytime that you want. Please share. Thank you very much, Kurnia.
thank
Thank you very
you.
much, man. See you soon.
See you. Hopefully, you can visit there sometimes, someday.
You are welcome anytime, Kurnia. Anytime.
Okay, shall we leave? Or,
Just a second,
okay.
Kurnia. Then you close the transmission, the broadcast, and we can talk for a second.